7, 8 months of just very, very strict dieting. I ended up dropping 140 pounds.
Wow.
Yeah, I cut off an entire lightweight competitor.
Hey guys, welcome to Big Loss Official. Today on Talking Strongman, I have the up-and-coming superstar of Strongman, Evan Singleton, North American Giants Live Open winner last year, and he's gunning for the world title this year. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing pretty good. How about yourself, sir?
I'm really good. Just enjoying doing all these kind of chats with you guys. It's been really good fun. I've been able to chat to a lot of the old sort of legends, and I'm enjoying chatting to you kind of new guys on the way up. And you've kind of, you've made a good start to your career because you sort of just burst on the scene from absolutely nowhere, or what seemed like absolutely nowhere. Obviously, I saw you at the Giants Live North American the year before when I took my last international win. And then a year later, you're winning that show and qualifying to compete in the World's Strongest Man.
Oh, yeah. It's been an interesting journey, to say the least.
Yeah, well, take us back to the start, because you started off in wrestling, didn't you?
Oh, yeah. Going all the way back to my my middle school and high school days, I was an amateur wrestler. And towards the, I want to say sophomore, junior year, maybe around 15, 16, I started taking it a little bit more seriously instead of just something to do to get out of the house. And that's, I can honestly say I attribute to a lot of my mindset as far as wanting to push myself and wanting to like you just realizing that there's no way around it. You need to really put the work in. You really need to work hard for the goals that you set for yourself. Nothing's going to be given to you. I learned that at an earlier age with wrestling, and I'm very thankful for that. And that mindset helped me get all the way to I was 24th in the nation for freestyle wrestling my senior year, which is not bad. And yeah, after, I want to say maybe my junior year of high school, I decided to become, after high school, professional wrestler. I always enjoyed it. I always enjoyed the showmanship, the superstars and the moves, the storylines. I enjoyed it very much. So I pursued that after I graduated high school. And within 6 months of graduating high school, I was offered a contract with WWE.
That's pretty awesome. I mean, when I was younger, I was a huge WWE fan, particularly originally with like the guys like Hulk Hogan and the Ultimate Warrior, Undertaker, and then to the kind of Attitude Era of like Stone Cold and The Rock and Triple H and those kind of guys. I used to love it. I don't really watch it so much anymore, but back then I thought it was awesome. It seems to have kind of like got a bit more family orientated again, hasn't it?
Yeah, I want to say after the Attitude Era is when they started. They changed the rating to PG. That's when they had their whole thing with the World Wildlife Federation, and they changed their name to WWE. And then obviously the biggest demographic, it's the biggest moneymaker, is selling to kids, because you sell to kids, then you're going to bring the parents in by default. So it's just more of a money making strategy for them. So yeah, it's definitely more kid oriented now.
It's all good, but yeah, definitely the guys like The Rock and Stone Cold, Triple H, Generation X, all those kind of, that was. And then before that, I used to love originally the Undertaker. He was kind of like my favorite, and then like the Ultimate Warrior coming in like shaking the ropes and going like a complete madman, and obviously everyone got hooked into Hulkamania.
Hulkamania ran wild.
And obviously you've brought a lot of that wrestling kind of background into your performances in the Strongman. It's quite funny because you get a mixed reaction. You do. Some people love it.
It's a little bit of an interesting contrast between the people that watch me compete, because on one hand you'll get guys who are like I get messages from people like, dude, I love your enthusiasm. I love the energy that you bring to it. I like that you're talking a little bit of smack because it's different. You don't see that much. And then you get the guys on the other spectrum who are like, this isn't wrestling anymore. You need to cut that shit out. And that there's no place for that in Strongman. There's a decent amount of heat I get for it too, but it just comes with the territory. So I'm all right with it.
So do you find with like the smack talking stuff, it is just showmanship, or is there anyone you particularly don't like that it makes it easier for you to be kind of, offensive towards?
It's an interesting answer to that. I want to start by saying I have absolutely no hard feelings towards any fellow competitors, any legends such as yourself. I have no ill will towards anybody. I feel like there's a brotherhood in Strongman that I greatly respect. I have a lot of respect for it. We all know how hard we work to get to where we are, and I think that in and of itself, it commands respect from us, and we're all very tight. We're all, I would say for the most part, we're pretty close. Now, with that being said, there are some guys where a perfect example of this, and he's gonna laugh as soon as he sees this, but on Luke Richardson.
Yeah.
He's my buddy. I love Luke. We mess around all the time, but pretty much the entire conversations that we have through like Instagram messaging is just us shit talking each other, like back and forth. Like he'll call me bucktooth yank or something like that, and then I'll call him, "You're just a dirty redcoat. Nobody cares." And it's he brings it out in me. And there's a couple of guys that I compete against that are like that. So if some guys get torched a little bit more than others, it's just because that we have that relationship where we just go back and forth all the time. It's all in good fun. That's my main.
And I think a lot of the younger guys kind of really get into it as well, don't they? They seem to enjoy it a bit more.
Yeah. From the experiences that I've had with Talking Smack, a lot of the guys that are younger will engage with it a little bit more, outside of like Mateusz Kieliszkowski, just because he's
a Terminator.
oh hell yeah, he is. He's stone faced the entire time. He's set to kill. So I would say outside of him, the younger guys are probably more susceptible to the trash talking than the older guys.
We need to have a good bit of trash talk between you and Oberst. That would be entertaining.
I would enjoy that very much.
I'm sure he would as well.
I already have a couple of things scribbled down for him just in case he wants to get smart. So
he tends to direct it towards Eddie and Brian, but
yeah,
you never know. You may be on his radar soon.
Hey, all I have to say is bring it. I used to get paid to talk smack, so bring it.
So when you were doing the wrestling, I mean, that is just as important as being a good wrestler, isn't it? With pro wrestling, there's athleticism. You need to have a good memory because you need to remember high spots in the match. Reading the crowd is also something that they teach you how to do. Obviously, mic skills, you need to be able to talk on the microphone. There's a lot of stuff that goes into pro wrestling that I don't think a lot of people fully appreciate. So tell us a bit about the training, because I've seen a few documentaries and I can see it's brutally hard in the, especially old school. I don't know what it was like so much for you, but I've seen some of these like old school wrestling schools, Stu Hart's kind of dungeon and things like that, where he just used to beat the crap out of these guys and toughen them up with, it's not what you call sophisticated, like smart training. It's just break these guys as much as you can. And if they keep coming back, then we're going to teach them how to do it properly.
Absolutely, 100%. I would say that it is kind of like that to an extent. When I was in it, there was 3 tiers. There was first tier, which is like new to wrestling. Excuse me, not a lot of experience and all of that good stuff. Tier 2, you've been in a couple of years. You kind of get the feel of knowing what you're doing. And then there's tier 3, where the tier 3 guys are pretty much getting molded to move up to the main roster with like Raw, SmackDown, and then they'll start doing pay-per-views and storylines and stuff like that. But tier 1 and tier 2, the ones that I had experiences with, were pretty much just testing your athletic ability. You need to be able to dive into the ring. You need to be able to do all the acrobatic movements. I mean, perfect example is The Rock. When he was wrestling, he would do the kip up, how he'd be laying on the ground, and then all of a sudden he would just kick his feet up, and then he'd land on his feet. I was able to do that like over and over and over again, and that's just something that we practice. Having that athleticism is something that they really, really drive into every entertainer.
And obviously that that athleticism has kind of been good for you going forward into your strongman, because obviously, I mean, how far did you get to in wrestling? Did you actually get to TV shows?
I did, but they weren't Raw or SmackDown. Right now, currently, the brand is called NXT. I was on NXT.
Okay, cool. That's cool. And so when you kind of finished the wrestling, was it just like a void and you needed something to focus on, or was strongman something that you'd always kind of wanted to pursue?
Now, Strongman is something that was never in the forefront of my mind, but I always knew what it was, and I can't necessarily say that I followed it, but I was always like intrigued by it. Like, oh yeah, that's the thing that guys are picking up cars and big boulders and stuff. That's pretty cool. But it was never at the forefront of my mind. Now, coming from wrestling, where aesthetics are important, you need to have a good physique. That really helps with your progress up the roster. So aesthetics were kind of important to me now. After I got out of wrestling, I fell into a little bit of a slump. I was dealing with a lot of issues, and I wasn't able to train. I wasn't eating properly. I put on a lot of really, I would say, bad weight, and I ballooned up to around 380, 385, and just
Wow.
it was bad weight. Like, it was unhealthy weight.
Sure.
So after I got out of the little bit of the slump, when I was greenlit to go back to the gym and start exercising again, I made the commitment to myself that I'm tired of looking in the mirror and not liking what I'm seeing. I'm tired of feeling bad for myself. So feeling like I'm not able to do anything just because of how I look and what I do. So I made the commitment to myself that I'm going to try bodybuilding. I want to be able to look in the mirror, and I want to be able to like what I see. I've never been the leanest person. I've always been a bigger guy. So it could be cool to see what I look like with abs. I've never had those before. So yeah, I was young, so I fell into that. I did bodybuilding for about 7-8 months of very, very strict dieting. I cleaned up my diet 100%. I got rid of all the soda and all the junk food I was eating. 7-8 months of just very, very strict dieting. I ended up dropping 140 pounds.
Wow.
And and then I jumped on stage at about 240, 245.
Okay. That's an incredible loss in body weight.
Yeah, I cut off an entire lightweight competitor. But where Strongman came from is after I got done with my first bodybuilding show, all right, I dropped the weight. I got into better shape. I proved that I could do it to myself. I have the trophy and the pictures to back it up. All right, cool. This is awful. I hate the diet. So I've been competitive for all of my life, so I needed that competitive outlet, and I'm sure you can understand what that feels like.
Very
So
much so.
I wanted to look for something because I always loved the way that lifting weights made me feel. So I wanted to do something competitive that was weightlifting related, and I already did bodybuilding. So I'm moving on to the next category. So for me, the next category was either going to be powerlifting or strongman.
Yeah.
I found the gym where I currently reside at McMillan's Training Systems in Lancaster, and they are a powerlifting and strongman gym. And I actually, if I remember correctly, I had the intention of starting with powerlifting because it was a little bit more familiar to me than strongman. It's just simple squat, bench, deadlift. And I go into the gym and I take a tour with the owner, and there's a guy doing log clean and press. And I'm like, okay, all right, well, what's this about? So after his set was over, I walked over to him and I started a conversation with him. I started talking to him a little bit, and he actually invited me to join him. And I was like, okay, well, I'm not doing anything for the rest of the day. Why not? I'll give it a try. And after that day of log training, and then finished with shoulders and all that good stuff, I was like, well, did log. It was actually really fun. It was weird and it was different, but it seemed pretty cool. So why don't I just try this for a little bit? And I want to say after a solid 2 weeks of strongman training, I was like, yep,
I'm hooked.
This is it. This is what it feels good. I'm having a blast doing it. I like the feeling of getting stronger. This is it. This is what I'm going to pursue.
That's awesome. But I think I always try and kind of get the point across that you have to enjoy this. And
absolutely.
Like you
Absolutely.
say, you did the bodybuilding, but it just wasn't for you. You're thinking about powerlifting, and then you suddenly find something that you enjoy. That makes it so much easier.
Absolutely.
If you enjoy going to the gym every day, you enjoy the process of getting stronger, it makes doing this sport much, much better because it's tough. I've said that to many people. It's not an easy sport, but it is fun. And you do find 99.9% of the guys that do it at all levels, top level, right down to beginners, they're a nice bunch of guys just to be around. Whereas sometimes, I mean, I've got friends that do bodybuilding, and they're friends of mine. And when it gets close to a contest, I don't want to be around them because they're miserable.
I was the exact same way. Oh yeah. Towards the end of the stretch with the whole dieting thing, I had my show picked out and I was getting ready. Once it started dwindling down, you started doing that water cut. You start taking out carbs. Oh man, you're a miserable bastard. Oh, you hate life.
Yeah, and then obviously you've got the fact that when you compete in bodybuilding, I mean the best guy normally wins, but it is an opinion rather than you
Yes,
know.
exactly. That I would say I would say honestly alongside of the lack of happiness I get out of the diet is probably my number one contribution to enjoying strongman significantly more than bodybuilding. Is it's not subjective. There's
Yeah.
no way to bias it. There's no way to unfairly judge it. At the end of the day, if you have the fastest time, if you get the most amount of reps, if you lift the heaviest amount of weight, then you win. You can't argue with that. And
Yeah.
I that's an aspect of the sport that I really appreciate.
Me too. It's probably what hooked me in the first place. As you know, like you say, being the fastest, doing the most reps, or lifting the most weight, job done. And I
Yep.
love that competitiveness and that competitive side of just wanting to do better all the time. And I see it in yourself. You can tell you really just want to keep improving, keep getting
Yep.
better, and be the absolute best in the world one day. That's the goal for you.
Yes, sir. I've despite the mixed reactions that I've gotten when I told people, especially around the time where I first started, because I'm one of those people where if I set my a goal on something, right out of the gate I'll set it high.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is I want to say once after that 2 week period of me just getting hooked into strongman training, I made the commitment to myself that one day I am going to win the world's strongest man. I
Uh,
made that commitment to myself. I did that when I was in high school,
yeah.
and I told people that I went to high school with, I told teachers that after high school, I'm interested in pursuing professional wrestling. And a lot of people laughed at me. A lot of people said, "Oh, you shouldn't be doing that. That's for kids. That's dumb. That's unobtainable." I had a teacher actually tell me to my face that I need to set more realistic goals for myself. And I went out, and after 6 months out of high school, I proved them all wrong. So
I've heard all those things before myself. I can sit here and honestly say people told me, why are you doing that? You're wasting your time. From teachers at school, friends that I considered like best friends at the time,
yep.
even, not my close family, but family members have looked at me like, what's
Oh
he
yeah.
doing? Doctors, doctors, when I
Yep.
have an injury, why are you doing this? This is stupid. Go and get a real job. But to me, it was like turning around to them and telling them to go and get another job and not be a doctor. This for
Yeah,
me was
exactly.
what I had
Exactly.
to do and what I wanted to do, and nothing was going to stop me. To be honest, it's sad because I've
100%.
spoken many times about losing a bit of that hunger, and it's a sad thing to admit to yourself, but
Yeah.
when I was your age, I was an animal. I would push myself to the absolute limits, and there was nothing that was going to get in my way. I actually had to quit a job once because they wouldn't let me go to World's Strongest Man. So
It's funny that you say that. I've done that same thing. I did that same thing last year when I went to World's Strongest Man. It was the last year that you competed. The job that I was currently working at, they told me that they were not going to allow me the time off needed because I was going there as an alternate and equipment tester. And I told them I'm going to need like a week and a half off to go do this amazing, like potentially once in a lifetime opportunity thing. I'm not going to miss this. I need this time off. And they told me no. So I handed in my 2 week notice. I'm going to this, whether you guys like it or not.
when you
I
have
did
that
that same thing.
mentality and you're driven to be the absolute best,
Yep.
nothing's going to get in your way. And I honestly believe 95% of the guys that go to Worlds, all of us when we started, whether we vocally say it or not, we all are like, I'm going to be the world's strongest man. It's just, if you're not thinking like that, you don't. I mean, you're someone who's going to say it out loud. I'm someone that keeps it a bit more internal, but inside myself, look at Zadrunas. He's not a brash kind of cocky
Yep.
talker, but that man has an era of confidence in himself. He's got an
Yep.
aura about him, and he believes he's the best. And I was the same. I believed I was going to be one of the best strongmen on the planet. And I think if you
And look at
don't
you.
have that,
You did.
I did okay, but
Oh,
I
don't
think
sell yourself short. You are literally the legend, the warrior, Laurence Shahlaei. I'm not going to sit here on your show and let you undersell yourself. That's not happening.
Oh, well, I appreciate that. No, that's kind. And I was lucky to travel all over the world with this sport, meet some incredible people. I've won some incredible battles. I've unfortunately had some, bad experiences as well, but I wouldn't change a second of it. And people,
Absolutely.
if someone said go and get a different job and do something else, I kind of tell them no. I do this over again, and I'm continuing now to just push the sport in a different way. As you can tell, you've spoken to me away from from the cameras and stuff. You know how passionate I am about the sport,
Absolutely.
and seeing it grow and seeing it get better, and just staying involved like I am. I'm quite happy now, just getting a little bit smaller, staying reasonably strong. I can't imagine ever being tiny and not being strong. But I kind of tease my mates in the gym. I'm like, oh, I'm weak now, and it's all relative. You're weak for me,
Of
It's
course.
like,
Of course.
there's competing at world's strongest man in your peak form, and there's being 6 months out of that. I've not turned to
Yeah.
mush, and I can still lift some decent weights. So it makes me laugh when people think, oh, you're just going to get like fat and weak. I was like, I'm still training. I can still, I've just changed
Yeah.
the goals a little bit, but
Yeah,
it's all
like a
good
lot
fun.
of people don't understand that. Like a lot of people that I talk to say, "Aren't you worried about what you're going to be like when you're like in your 50s and 60s? Like you're not going to be able to walk and stuff like that." It's like this is a hard sport and it takes a toll on our body. Don't get me wrong, I fully acknowledge that, but we're not going to cripple ourselves. Like I'm not, as soon as I'm done with strongman, I'm not going to give up on all exercise, weight training, and all of that, because at the end of the day, the feeling of lifting weights is what started me on this journey in the first place. I'm just going to give that up.
Yeah, I think someone like yourself, you're very similar to. I've spoken to many of the athletes, and it's quite funny. We're all very similar. We're all driven by goals.
Yep.
All of us have, whether and most of us come from different sporting backgrounds.
Yep.
We just change the goal. That's all we do, and that was important for me when I kind of stepped away. It was right. I've got to find a new goal, because if I don't,
Yep.
that's when the depression kind of side of things kicks in for
Oh yeah.
me, and I feel lost. Whereas when I'm focused on something, I'm great, and it just gives me structure. And I think you're the same with that, aren't you? You need that kind of focus in your life.
100%. That's what led me to balloon up to 385 in the first place, because I stopped wrestling because I got a head injury and I wasn't greenlit to exercise. I couldn't get in the ring to keep wrestling. I was incredibly limited on everything that I could do out of fear of aggravating my injury. So that's exactly what you said. I didn't have a goal. I felt like I didn't have a purpose. I felt like I was in purgatory. So it was slippery slope, and I just kept dwindling and just went deeper and deeper into that black hole of depression.
Yeah. Well, it's good to see how you got out of it, and you're now one of the top strongmen on the planet, looking to compete at Worlds this year. You've
Yes,
qualified for
sir.
this year, so have you had the invite yet? Because obviously this
Yeah,
year's strange.
I've gotten my official invite for World's Strongest Man. I'm very excited about that, and I'm just hoping that it happens in November, honestly,
So
because
we're keeping our fingers
I'll
crossed at the moment.
yeah, definitely fingers crossed. I would say the first time that they canceled it was supposed to be something like May
Yeah.
of this year. It was supposed to be in May, and I'll be honest with you, I think that my training where I was at, I probably wasn't ready to make as good of an impact as I would have liked. I can confidently say that come November, I will bring the best package that anybody has seen of the T-Rex to competition stage. So that I'm really looking forward to. I hope it goes on, because I'll be in the best and strongest and fastest shape of my life.
Awesome. It's good to hear. So what kind of numbers are we hitting at the moment in the gym? What's your
Uh,
PBs currently?
Well, right now I have a 900 deadlift. I'm very excited about that. I have been dreaming of hitting 400 kilos for pretty much ever since I started. I mean, once you go from amateur to pro, you always dream about hitting, when it comes to deadlift, the 400 kilo mark. That's kind of like your initiation into, okay, you're a serious competitor. So, what is 900? It's
900
405,
is 410. 410
410.
kilos. Yep.
So I've got 410. I was honestly, the first time that I hit that, I cried a little bit. I'm not even gonna lie. Because I don't now, because of my bodybuilding training, I never deadlifted, because when you're bodybuilding, you're trying to get the perfect V taper and then the X shape, with big legs, a tiny waist, and then a big upper body.
Yeah.
And deadlifting will increase the size of your muscles in your lower back, and it kind of takes away from that V taper a little bit. So when I was a bodybuilder, I never deadlifted. When I started strongman, and I know my buddy who watches this video, George, he's going to watch this and he's going to laugh, because he was there when I did it. My personal best when I started strongman was 600 pounds, complete with stalling at the knees, hitching, everything. I had to pull out everything just to get that lift, and now I'm sitting at 300 pounds heavier than that. So I'm quite happy with the progress that I made
Very
with
good
that.
progress.
I've never been a good deadlifter, but it's nice to finally get some progress on that. I am currently at 400 kilo log, 200 kilo log. Excuse me, 200.
I'm always getting my numbers wrong because I talk to some people in pounds, some people in kilograms, and then when I'm coaching, sometimes I just randomly put out numbers in my head that are numbers that I lift. So then I'm training like, these beginners, and instead of saying like 90 kilos on a log, I'll say 190 kilos. And looking at me like that, so, I didn't mean that. So I mean 90. I know what I meant in my head, but it comes out wrong sometimes.
I do that too.
I did it a few times in the World Ultimate Strongman commentary, and I was like,
"Oh yeah,
Roz, what are you doing?" The people are going to be kind of in the comments below, but I know what I'm saying inside. So sometimes,
it's just coming out is the hard part.
Yeah, but a 400 kilo log would be immense.
Yeah, that would be a little bit of an accomplishment. Just a little bit.
So you've done 200 kilos on the log.
Yep, I have a 200 kilo log. I'm 410 deadlift. I've hit recently. I'm gonna stop with the kilos because
you can.
Yeah, because I'm not gonna do that in my head. I just hit 575 on bench.
That's good.
I would say that probably my best event is farmers. I would argue that it's probably farmers just because I'm able to, I have a very good grip and I'm fast. Yeah. So I take pride in my speed. So I would say that I'm probably, my max farmers that I've ever done was 440 per hand, 200 kilos per hand for 50 feet. And that was like 12-ish seconds.
Very good.
So honestly, the hardest part was the pick. Everything else was fine.
That's impressive. I love like the heavy farmers events, and they're just starting to come back. They kind of vanished for a while in strongman.
Yeah, they
did.
The top
level,
yeah.
There wasn't so much emphasis on grip, whereas now it's kind of coming back in, and it's good to see because I think it's a great event.
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I've always enjoyed the farmers, the frame without straps.
Yeah.
Classic, the Hercules hold, Mark Felix, the God amongst men, Mark Felix with his baseball mitt hands. But
Mark's grip gets way too much attention on here.
What's that?
I said Mark's grip gets way too much attention on here. It's like I'm like you. Yeah. I've got a good grip, and I don't like when Mark's in the same comp. It just makes me feel.
Yeah, I don't either. It's like, okay, well, I guess I'm just going to compete for second.
It is. No, it's all good. But as you know, it's all about having that full package when it comes to competition. And it sounds like your training is going really, really well. So it's going to be exciting to see this year. And this year's going to be an interesting one because we haven't seen anyone compete. Yeah. So we don't know what kind of shape everyone's in. And obviously you youngsters make rapid progress. So the likes of yourself, Luke Richardson, Tom Stoltman,
he's going to be real good. Tom Stoltman is another one.
Trey Mitchell as well. Trey's a good
I love Trey.
Trey's getting better. I
Did you see his what was it? It was like 915 triple the other day.
He did 415 kilos, something like that. 410.
Oh man, that was as the Stoltmans would say, that was spicy.
Yeah, he's like, look at me, guys. I'm here quietly doing my thing.
Yep.
There's just more and more awesome guys now. It's the standard in depth now is what impresses me. There's always been a handful of good guys. Now you go to World's Strongest Man, you've got 30 guys that are good guys.
Exactly.
You don't get, easy groups now at World's Strongest Man. Every single guy that goes there is good, and then it's all about being on form on the day, preparing well on the events. And obviously, do you know the events yet?
I do actually, yes.
Excellent. Give us what events have we got to look forward to at Worlds? Because I don't know this year.
Well, now I don't have the specifics on them. They gave me a very, very, very generic kind of rundown on what the events are, but it's going to be
very normal for Worlds.
Yeah. It's going to be a truck pull, squat, deadlift. I have no idea what kind of deadlift. Circus dumbbell, log press. What else is there? There's farmers. There's going to be farmers.
Cool.
Yoke, stones, obviously. There's a couple more, but off the top of my head, I can't think of them. But Hercules hold is going to be making a comeback.
Really?
To Worlds.
Mark Felix will be happy.
Yeah. I really hope I'm not in his group.
But no, I love the Hercules hold. It's a cool looking event, and you just.
I know, right? It's like there was a shot that there was a shot that the Giants live photographer, she took a shot of me when I was doing the Hercules hold in Manchester last year. And just a combination of like the aesthetics of the event, the expression on my face, the backdrop of like all the crowd, and then the lights from the ceiling. Like, it was just an amazing shot. It was crazy. And I love that picture so much.
Yeah, no, they get some amazing photos, and it's a great event to capture awesome photos, because all that you see is the pain in the athlete's face. The
Yep.
rest of it, we're just stood there holding on to these kind of huge pillars. You see all the crowd in the background, and then
Yep.
you can just see that, we're hanging on for dear life.
Yep.
I love it, because I don't know what you're like on those kind of events. I'm in pain from the start. Some people look like they're just kind of comfortable. My face looks like I'm going to drop within 5 seconds of getting into it, but I just managed to keep holding on. You get some guys, they sort of have this poker face. They're absolutely fine, but their grip goes quickly. I look like I'm in agony from the start.
Well, I'm from what I've seen from the playbacks of the Hercules hold, I'm a guy that will look calm and cool for the Hercules hold, maybe about 45 seconds, and then I hit that wall where I immediately go from to just breathing really heavy and just focusing on holding on for dear life.
Are you going to go for the Phil Pfister and give a speech of you're going to win World's Strongest Man one day while you're doing the Hercules hold?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I'll come up with a special speech just for it.
Have you seen that clip?
No.
Phil Pfister, in one of his first Worlds, he was going to, he believed he was going to win, and he was there. He struggled with some of the other events, but he was on the Hercules hold, and he put out this speech that he was going to, win World's Strongest Man in the future, and the man came back and did it.
That's awesome. I might actually do that. I might steal that now. It's
a good mix of events, to be honest. I quite like the sound of them. There's some good ones in this year.
Oh yeah, there's a little bit of something in there for everybody, which is something that I definitely appreciate.
Yeah, definitely. I like the variety, and I've kind of said a number of times now, I want to see. I actually would like them to get rid of the groups at Worlds and just have 20 best guys from around the world that have qualified, and then a battle between I say 8 to 12 events. However they wanted to do it.
Interesting.
That would be, for me, break them down into individual shows, because you need the shows, give people more airtime. And I think it would be an interesting way of doing it. But
that would be actually pretty interesting. I never really thought of a concept outside of the heats.
The first few World's Strongest Man contests, they were 10 events. So there was no heats, but it was just 10 events. And then obviously over the years, if you're going to win World's Strongest Man, you usually got 5 or 6 events in the heats, 5 or 6 events in the finals. It's 10 events, but it's 2 separate competitions. I'd like to see 10 different events. Let's see who is the absolute best all-round athlete on the planet, or strength athlete. It would be a good way of doing it.
That would be interesting for sure. Absolutely.
Would you be up for a show like that?
Oh, I'd do that in a heartbeat. Absolutely. Yeah.
Awesome. So I
just like to compete. Screw it. Sign me up.
So if you were kind of going to say World's Strongest Man was 6 events in the final this year, what 6 events would you want?
Circus dumbbell for reps, easily. Farmers, loading race. Oh, that was another one on Worlds, by the way, was loading race. But loading race, definitely. I'm very good at those. Farmers, circus dumbbell. It's not my strongest event, and it would probably be where I would sacrifice a little bit of points, but I would like to do the deadlift anyway, because I really obviously the goal is to win, but I love testing myself and I love seeing where I'm at. So whether it would be for reps or max deadlift, I'm game for a deadlift. Throw a deadlift in there. 6 events. Let's go with the classic log. I would like to do log for a max. I would like to test my new log max. And then obviously we got to finish with stones. But a twist on it, I prefer to see the natural stones. I would like to see the natural stones back in. I think that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, definitely. I agree with you. It's a lot harder then to really prepare for the event. And you've really got to kind of figure them out on the spot. It's a cool event, actually. It looks cool. You just get these big rustic stones that no one's really had the chance to train on, and it makes things a little bit more interesting.
Yeah, it's just an equalizer event.
Yeah, definitely. How do you feel about the stone, the Eliminator Stone they've done over the last couple of years?
Controversial, I'd say. I'd say controversial because the top 2 guys that go into the final event of the heats, and the one spot that's up for grabs on the finals is it's an eliminating event, because you're taking away all of the points, and right now the points don't matter. It's literally 100% who can just do the stone more. Now, I like that because it tests people's grit, and to me, it kind of shows who wants it more. Because if two guys are at the same level of their stone loading abilities, but one guy just has that burning desire, as the other guy, he wants it, he just doesn't want it that bad, then the guy who wants it more obviously is going to win the event, and he should. So he should move on to the finals. Now, with that being said, there's the controversy about last year with the whole Novikov and Mitchell thing.
Yeah.
I'm assuming that's what you were getting at.
Well, not just I've seen it a few years now where sometimes you could have, my only issue with it is a qualifying event, that it's not deciding the title. You could be, like you said, Trey Mitchell was, I think, 7 points behind Novikov. There was no physical way, even if it was a normal event, he could have won that event. What's his name? Novikov could have come last and still would have gone through to the final in normal rules.
And that would have been the problem I had with it too.
Yeah. Whereas I think as an event, if you were like a tiebreaker in the final, or just like a normal show where people were tied to decide placings and stuff like that, I think then it's a cool event.
Yes, I agree with that.
It's just, I just, for me, as a qualifying event, I don't like it because it puts too much emphasis on one event. And for instance, you could be the best at Farmer's Walk in the world. So if Farmer's Walk was the last event, you'd be licking your lips. Whereas we've all got events that we specialize in. It's not like we're sprinters that are just doing one event. It's about being a good all-round athlete in strongman.
Right.
So that's my only issue with it. But I do like it as an entertainment in terms of, right, you guys are tied on points. Let's see who wants it more.
Yep.
I like that kind of, you've got to dig deep and just keep. I'd actually love, I've said this before, but I'd love to see either Thor, Brian, or Tom on a 200-kilo stone over, that would be a battle. That would be something to watch.
That would be a legendary battle. It really would. That'd be crazy. That would be amazing.
Someone needs to make that happen.
I'd pay to see that.
Definitely. So have you got any other contests that you've got lined up this year? Obviously, Worlds is like the only one that's sort of really confirmed right now, but there's a few other things I've heard of that are going to be happening. Have you had any invites to anything?
I have an invitation to a Giants Live competition. I'm not sure how that's going to play out with the whole travel ban thing, so we're going to have to wait and see for that. I'm really hoping that it goes through because it would be before World's Strongest Man, and I would actually really enjoy it. I would love to see all my strongman brothers again. Obviously, to get the wheels a little greased up for World's Strongest Man, just to kind of loosen the gears a little bit. I think that would be really important. I think that'd be really good for me. But again, there's no way to really tell if it's even going to happen or not. So fingers crossed for that. But outside of
right now, what's the travel like in the States? Is it kind of complete lockdown at the moment in terms of international travel?
Well, we can't go into Canada at all. We can still go to Mexico, and if I'm not mistaken, we have a ban on Europe.
Yeah.
The rest of the world, I'm not entirely sure, but as of right now, I think that's what our ban is. That's
one of the issues right now. I think even for World's Strongest Man, is athletes getting to America and stuff like that. Yeah. So I know there's more important things than strongman, and I've said this before, but for all of us, when it's your job at the end of the day these days, it's what you do for income. It's what keeps you sane. It's what you put all your time and effort into. So it's tough for athletes right now, especially when they can't provide for their families like they would. It's a tough time. It's hopefully. I certainly wouldn't want to be in charge of running the countries right now. I'm glad I'm just a lowly strong man, just lifting some weights and not worrying too much.
I'm happy with my weights and my food. I'm good.
Definitely, but it is a shame. This year I was really looking forward to seeing some great battles. The Giants Live shows that were lined up, the World Ultimate Strongman shows. The amount of Arnold shows that aren't happening. There were so many big shows that you potentially could have been competing in.
I was because to touch on something what you said earlier, you said that Strongman gave you the ability to travel the world and meet all kinds of new people, see new things. I actually helped. Strongman has actually given me the privilege of learning something about myself, and that is that I actually really enjoy traveling. Before Strongman, I never left the country once. I've only been to a handful of states. I've never really had any reason or interest to leave. And now that I've started competing in strongman, it's given me such a different outlook on life when it comes to traveling and experiencing different cultures, different foods, meeting new people, seeing new things. I really enjoy that aspect, and I'm very privileged for what strongman has given me in that aspect. So I was actually a little bit bummed about that too, because I was looking forward to going to South Africa for the Arnold again. I wanted to go to Canada for the Arnold again. I was hoping to I wanted to defend my title for Giants Live North America so badly, so badly, so badly.
Yeah.
But it is what it is. These are the cards that we were dealt, so we just got to play them to the best of our abilities. That's just what it comes down
Exactly
to.
that. Well, kind of touching on that, where's your favorite place that you've been to so far?
Ooh. Honestly, it's a tie between England and South Africa.
Okay, very different, very different.
Yes. Two very different experiences, and both were absolutely unforgettable experiences. When I went to South Africa, Gerard,
Yeah,
I went
he's
to
just he's a
Gerard's.
cool guy.
I love Gerard so much. Me and him click so well. I love him like a brother. I went to his animal sanctuary where I got to pet like lions and tigers
Yeah.
and stuff. Completely unforgettable experience. And then I would say for Giants Live in Manchester, because that was my first arena show. It was the first time I've been to Europe, and it was interesting seeing the different culture and meeting new people and giving Luke Richardson shit in person. Fun. But I was humbled when it came to the arena show. I'm going to be totally honest. Like I knew that I was going to be competing in front of a crowd. I knew it was going to be in an arena. I got to the show early before anybody even got in. So I got to see all the production that went into it. And still, it just took me back by how awesome it was. It was an amazing experience. It's by far something I'll never forget. And it's honestly, I can't pick between the two. They're both fantastic experiences their own way.
I remember seeing you in Manchester. Just, you put on a brave face when you go out in front of the public, but I could see you were nervous and you were just kind of, you were excited, enjoying the experience. And
Yep.
that first arena show is incredible because they're so big now. Whereas, I sort of, I guess, I got to kind of experience they just got a little bit bigger and a little bit bigger and a little bit bigger, and then we got these like big arena shows. Whereas you've gone in from like the smaller shows, and then suddenly you're in front of 12,000 people.
Yep.
And you enjoyed it. You were straight on the
Oh,
mic,
I love the crowd.
it up.
The crowd can boo the hell out of me. The crowd can cheer for me. I don't care. Being in that atmosphere is just fantastic. It's unlike anything else. I feed off of that. The energy from the crowd, that will make me stand out more. It'll make me more entertaining. I'll interact with the crowd. I'll do anything, like the little stuffed T-Rex toy that I gave to the little girl.
It's really good.
I love all of that.
Yeah, it's funny. I mean, we touched on it earlier. You get some people that love it, some people that they're old school, they don't like it. But one thing I'll say, people have come to me. I've had a few people go, "Oh, I love, Evan. He's really entertaining. He's a breath of fresh air."
Oh, okay.
And I've had people come up to me and say, "Oh, you got to make sure you beat that cocky American." I'm like, behind the scenes, he's just the loveliest kid. And I feel like, like a big brother to some of you kind of youngsters, because you're all so respectful behind the scenes, and then you get out there and it's like,
oh yeah,
man, I'm going to kick your ass.
if we have that kind of relationship like me and Luke Richardson, we talk smack back and forth and all of that, but it's all in good fun and all of that. When I go out there, I turn the notch, so I'm a little bit more of a character out there. Absolutely, 100%.
Awesome. Well, I look forward to seeing you in some of the big shows. Hopefully, if you get over to the UK, I will try and come and see you, buddy.
Yes,
just
please.
Before we kind of finish, where can the fans find you?
Oh, I am on. I have a Facebook athlete page at Evan T-Rex Strongman. I am on Instagram also. I am Evan_T-Rex_Strongman. And yeah, those are pretty much my two main platforms right now. I'm going to try to start up a YouTube channel maybe in the near future. So
good, man. Oh, I look forward to coming over to the States and training with you then at some point, and we'll have some fun.
Have an open invitation whenever you come here. If you ever decide to come for some weird reason, Lancaster, Pennsylvania, I have an amazing gym for you to train at. I have a place for you to stay, and absolutely everything covered. I will take care of you if you ever come here.
Right, I appreciate it, man. And likewise, next time you're in the UK, give me a call. We'll hook up and we'll have some fun.
Yes, sir. I most certainly will.
Guys, I hope you've enjoyed our chat with Evan Singleton, Mr. T-Rex himself. He's just rising up the scene in Strongman. Look out for him at World's Strongest Man this year and plenty more international shows. We will be back with more Talking Strongman soon. Remember to like, share, and subscribe to the channel, and we'll catch you next time.